Hey, this is Spanner for the Spanner and Riggs Show, and we are here with episode 13 of Spanner and Riggs. We've been balling along. We got an awesome episode. We got NFL draft hopeful Sebastian Gutierrez in our college segment from Minot State. Crazy journey from wide receiver all the way to left tackle. And we have Coach Laurie Sieben and Walker Demers from the state finalist Grafton Spoilers. Here we go. Hey, it's Spanner again, and we're on the high school segment here of the Spanner and Riggs Show, and we got some awesome guests tonight. We got Laurie Sieben, head coach, Hall of Fame coach in my book of the Grafton High School Girls Spoilers, and we got Walker Demers, Walker Demers, who recently signed with South Dakota, the Giant Killers, Big Game Hunters, as they crushed Baylor this year in the tournament. Is that right? Big Game Hunter. You like that nickname for South Dakota? Or is South Dakota now Big Game? Are they Big Game now? Are they big time?
Oh yeah, yeah. They always have been in my book. But
that's good. I like that. So tell us a little bit about. We're gonna skip senior year, and we're going to the Division I. Is that a hard decision? Is that like, do you feel like you're going to miss out on something, or do you feel like you're a pioneer? I mean, what's the feeling on that?
Yeah, it was a really big decision when I was making it. It shocked a lot of people, but I just felt like it was right for me and it was right for the team. And I know that having the support of my teammates and my coaches and parents in the community behind me, it made it a little bit easier during the process. So
yeah. Now, Coach, talk a little bit about the success of your program. I mean, years of success, and what do you attribute it to? I mean, a lot of it is, sometimes it's skill, it's culture, it's sometimes what's in the town water or whatever. It's just sometimes it's a little bit of luck, and maybe it's a little bit of everything else. But Coach, tell us a little bit about what's been the key to your success with your programs over the years.
Well, I think you named several of those keys. It's certainly a process, right? And it's I think continuity has been huge. I think the fact that when I first took my teaching job in Grafton, I was the assistant coach for 2 years, and then followed by 21 years as the head coach. And throughout that, I've had great people and families, great support, and definitely throughout those years, there's always trials, right? And I think, like you said, you got to have a little bit of luck along the way, and you've got to have people that buy in, whether that be talking about your kids and your families, administration. I just feel as a coach, I've been able to be a part of some pretty amazing kids, and to have a front row to their journey. And it's a game that we teach. Coaching is teaching. To me, it's a game that we play, and it's a game that we're able to teach a lot of life skills throughout. And but that also takes time, and it's a process to build culture, but you need kids and families buying in. You need to be surrounded by a coaching staff that supports and provides loyalty. And I've been able to be a part of a lot of those components, and and Walker is an example of that. We've had girls within our program that have been able to have the opportunity to play the next level. Walker's going to do that at USD next fall. But we've also had girls that have followed suit that have just, been a part of spoiler tradition, spoiler pride. And prior to that, I'm just so grateful for the coaches before me. I grew up just north of Grafton, played Class B basketball. At the time, Grafton was Class A, and they had Coach Terry West and Coach Gene Anderson of the boys team. Terry West coached the girls team. They were part of the North Star back then, and they had the area leagues. And so when I stepped in, I definitely wanted to continue to, provide and maintain and build that spoiler culture. So I think some of that foundation was in place, but at the same time, I think, like I said, our kids that step up and bought into the system, continue to persevere, because we failed several times too throughout. And Walker was part of that, where we came up short. I think it was her freshman year, right?
Yeah.
And then we were able to win it her sophomore year. And, the season we had this year, we are super proud of that season. Obviously, you want to be able to win it at the end, but the things that our girls did this, stepped up into new roles and battled like they did and brought forth that consistency, like I said, continuity, right? I was just so proud of their efforts. So I think continuity, just taking the time to build belief throughout your system, and you have to surround yourself, with good people and be able to delegate. I mean, I don't know if you know, but I stepped aside from teaching, I don't know, about a month ago, and in coaching, just to provide a little more time for my family. I've got 2 daughters playing at the college level. I'd like to watch them and maybe try something a little bit different down the road. But Coach Wade Haugen he's going to transition into the head coaching position. And like I said, I've just had great people around me that builds culture, and, he's going to bring that continuity too. And I think everybody functions real well with structure, right? And continuity.
Absolutely.
So, but you need people to buy in.
So Walker, I'm gonna give you a tougher question here. So I've coached Division I, coached Division II and NAI and junior college, but I've coached Division I, and it is a massive jump. And it's not just a jump in athleticism; it's a jump in just mental preparation, ready, maturity. Talk to me about coach, maybe parents, maybe church, religion leaders. What has prepared you to make this jump early? Tell us about the mentoring that you've had along the way to go on this journey and to make this leap.
So I want to say it started out definite growth that I've gotten in those areas started probably my 8th grade year when coach had brought me up to play with the varsity, practice with the varsity, and just seeing their competitiveness made me want to compete, to be with them, even though that they were 2 grades older than me. I wanted to keep up with them. So that was probably the beginning of it. But definitely last summer I had done North Tartan, which was an EYBL team, and that definitely had a major impact on my growth too. And I feel like that's the closest I could get to going to the college level without actually being at the college level, was playing against, many future D1 athletes. And then coach just being there mentally the entire summer last year, and my huge support system with my parents. All of it has really helped. So
I got a question for both you guys. Maybe just be with recent success that happened at Minot High with young girls, that were 8th graders. It said that Walker, played in as a freshman and had an impact. And I know the Bishop Ryan heydays with those girls coming in at really young. It just seems like in maybe the last 10 or 15 years, there's been an emergence of talent at a really young level, whereas traditionally, you wait till junior season or senior season. What do you think is causing this? Or is this just maybe a little blip right now? But it just seems like the last, 10 or 15 years, there's always a girl in every region that's like an 8th grader or a freshman that makes an immediate impact within their programs. And it's pretty cool to see. I mean, it's certainly something we have talked about on the show about, we get to see these girls or guys or, but particularly in the girls sports, seeing that impact at an early age. But what is there just a anomaly, or is there something like there's a trend that maybe youth sports are doing a lot better job of skill development, and maybe there's more opportunity that leads to getting to make impacts on the high school team at such a young age?
Yeah, I think basketball is definitely evolving. Like from when I was younger, compared to what my sister is doing, than what I did when I was younger. It's different. Because basketball is evolving and the skill, it's increasing. I mean, 10 years ago and like from now to then, there's a huge difference. So I think the same thing is going to happen in the future. And like that, the younger kids, a few of them know what it takes, or like are learning and knowing what it takes to reach their higher potential that they have by putting in extra work or skill or extra teams that they're doing in the summer to really have an advantage over other girls their age or even girls older than them. So
probably a lot more exposure.
Yeah. They have probably more IQ, just by playing with older girls and playing against better competition. So
Coach, I wanted to ask you a question. I hope you don't get offended. I just got to ask it. I was at the state championship game and I watched it. And when I was watching it, I was texting my buddy during the game, and he was watching too. And we're going. I said, "Man, Grafton's playing at a really high pace here. I'm not sure they're as deep or as fast as Kindred. But you guys were getting out, and you were just and you guys had a lead there for a little bit. Do you regret playing that fast? Was that the game plan? Did it just happen that way, or and maybe I'm wrong. And I'm a soccer guy. You're the basketball coach. Tell me what you think. I just thought it was like, well, this is a high pace.
Yeah, well, we play positionless. We play fast. Obviously, in an opponent like Kindred, I think they made us play faster than we wanted. So you got to credit Kindred. They were primed. They're ready. They almost had a little bit of a, characteristic of our team last year. I mean, they stepped on the floor and they had that poise about them that they were going to get it done. I think they did speed us up. I mean, we like to play fast, but at the same time, I thought there was times that we really maybe didn't get the great shot. We kind of got the first look type of thing, but they really did a good job of, getting us to maybe force an early possession. But there's no regrets. No, I think too, the noise, just that whole element, we just were never comfortable, Jason. And, when you step into that game, you are who you are. And, I tell you, Kindred just played a heck of a game. Their physicality wore on us. We just weren't as deep as they were in different spots. And, but that's definitely the game you want to be in. And, in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. And, they had our number during the regular season as well. But unfortunate we weren't able to get it done in that game. But like I've told the girls, that's always the opportunity that you want. But that's what great teams do. They get you uncomfortable, and they got us uncomfortable. And yeah, we do play fast, but we probably played, credit Kindred. They made us play to a point where we were almost uncomfortable with our speed. But yeah.
It's interesting.
You didn't offend me at all, Jason.
I saw you guys.
I love her. She's honest.
Yeah.
I mean, you see a lot. We know. We both coach. There's a lot of coaches that like to sugarcoat things, and we couldn't catch a break on some shots here and there. It's like, you gotta appreciate it. I'm sure your players appreciate that too.
I saw you guys twice. I saw them 3 times, and it's interesting because and him and I had talked, and I really wanted to see you guys play 4 wins, and they got upset, in the region championship game. But I was telling him, I said, Grafton will clip 4 wins, and then I said I thought that Kindred was a runaway train, but I don't know. I was excited to watch that game. I thought you guys played pretty well. I just think that, like you said, that they were, it was their year, and it was just going to be tough to clip them. But Walker, I mean, tell me about the state tournament, and it kind of a two-part question. What does it feel like to play in the state tournament? Enjoy that moment, that the whole thing, playing the state championship. But the second part, tell us about playing for your community, representing Grafton, your town, and at that moment, the pride in playing for your community. I think that's something that North Dakota communities have that I think a lot of outside of state they don't have what we have. So describe that a little bit.
Yeah, so playing in the state tournament, I mean, it felt like home, like all 3 times that I got to do it. It was honestly a blessing to be able to play for 3 consecutive years in a row. And I mean, also playing in the state championship 3 times in a row, because that's the game that you want to be in when you enter the state tournament, no matter the outcome. I mean, obviously you want to win, but if you don't make it to that game, but playing for my community has, it's an indescribable feeling. I just remember watching, like, when I was in 2nd grade, I'd watched the state champions, our 2012 state champions, and I was like, that's something I want to do someday. I cannot wait to put on the Grafton uniform. And honestly, I haven't had a better experience, and I know that I wouldn't if I would have gone anywhere, or if I would have been anywhere else, because the Grafton community is just so supportive, and it's indescribable. I don't know.
Now, walk us through the process of selecting to go to South Dakota, and I'm assuming coach had probably fielded calls from other universities and those type of things. But what led you down south? What led you to them and over everybody else? And because that's a big not only you're making a choice to play a sport, but you're making a personal choice on your next phase of your life, which is, I mean, as we were both college coaches, we understand that that's more than just going to buy a new car.
It's easy. A coyote will eat a jackrabbit, right? A coyote will eat a jackrabbit. That's gotta be the reason.
Well, right? And of course, you got a lot of schools along that road, to get there, So there's something that's got to persuade her. So, but yeah, just walk us through that process. And I mean, did they contact you early, in the recruiting process? I mean, did they come in late? Was it just a visit, or I mean, what's the biggest motivation in how that whole process worked?
So I probably started getting phone calls the summer of my freshman year, and I think I got my first offer maybe the fall of my sophomore. So I think by the end of last season, my sophomore year, I had 4 offers, and they were all 4 schools that I had watched since I've been little. They were probably the teams that I looked up to the most, and I had narrowed it down to them before I even,
Probably April.
Yeah, probably April. I mean, I was still getting calls from outside of that, and offers, but I always knew that I wanted to stay, because I'm a homebody, but I knew I wanted to stay somewhere where, the community and my parents could support me, or, if the younger little girls wanted to come to camps, they would, they could. So that was a huge part of it for me. But really, I have to say, when I made my decision, it was the first time I went to campus, and even coach could testify that when I was there, I had felt comfortable. And I just remember putting on the uniform, and I was in the locker room alone, and I looked in the mirror, and I'm like, wow, this looks like me. Like, I can see myself here. This feels like home. It almost gave me the chills, to be honest, but I never felt like I never felt uncomfortable there. So that, with the coaching staff and the school, the major I plan to go into, everything kind of just clicked. So
what major is that?
That's how I made that.
What's your major?
Medical biology.
Oh, nice.
Boy.
Because she's out of our league.
Yeah,
That's fine. So tell
I
us.
think the EYBL, when Walker experienced the EYBL, it didn't take her long, I didn't think, to really narrow it down. I think it was her EYBL trip out east to compete in Virginia, and she came back, and it didn't take long to say, Coach, I'm a Midwest, because she was getting some recruits, which that piece was really helpful for Walker to explore. And I think it was COVID in the 2020. I'd sent out some huddles, and of course, your summit teams in UND and NDSU and SDSU and USD, they responded right away. And but it was nice that Walker had that EYBL experience, just for the fact, like, no, Coach, this is where I want to be. So those pieces, like, you go back on the exposure and the opportunities for girls today, they're and it's not what totally makes all of Walker's game, because she spends a lot of time in the weight room. Skill development's a big part of her time now. But girls just have great opportunities.
There's a little debate going on here. And you have 21 years, 23 years with the assistant coach, and maybe it's biased for you because you've been on top, but maybe you're on top because you work harder than everyone else. North Dakota basketball should have 3 classes or 2, and both of you guys can answer if you want.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the beauty of the beat. What do you think?
You know what? I just was at an advisory meeting last week, and I don't know that I have it's a true opinion on it, because I think anything that I say is going to be like, well, you're Grafton, you're a bigger school, whatever. But I think at the same time, I think what helps, in the last 5-6 years, we've done things to help our program. We've gone to our region where we play everybody once, which allows us to go out and play other competitions. So we've done things to help our program and to stay steady that way. Because I think that's the only thing you can control, are the things that you can lay out for your program, which I think the things we've done with our administration, our boys program as well. We do a lot of collaborative effort with the boys program. So I think what's helped our success, and I think it's with the boys' success too, is continuity. I've talked about that. And then making decisions that can help your program grow, because we can't control what, the NDHSA is going to decide, or what polls are going to decide. I've always been that coach that, okay, this is your schedule. This is the conference you play in. Okay, go do something for your kids, help your program grow. So, I do get asked that a lot. And I guess my answer is, I don't have an overall true opinion. Maybe I'm not answering your question really well, but I do know in the last 6 to 7 years, we've gone to things that help keep our program healthy. And that's with scheduling. That's with trying to keep continuity within our program with coaches. And yep, I'm stepping aside now, but I thought administration was really supportive in the fact that they gave the reins to Coach Haugen, and he's been a part of this program. Yes, he's been my assistant coach, but throughout our path to success, he's had instrumental pieces in that. So I think my answer is we've done the things that we can do to control and to help our program. So, it's just tricky. We want to enhance participation in the state of North Dakota, high school athletics. There's nothing better than playing for your community, right? So,
I agree with that.
And I get it.
So him and I, we've talked about it, and and we might differ a little bit on the what our beliefs in the class systems. But I've always said, if you focus on classroom, people development, youth development, and skill development, and you get a coach that's focused on those things. That
continuity, like I said.
Yeah,
you're not leaving every 2 years. You got revolving door.
Yeah, you can be successful, and you know, and I don't think it like Dickinson. You know, are they Class A, Class B? I mean, they dominate softball and they dominate gymnastics because, you know, they put the time in. It's in the DNA. You know, so same thing with Grafton basketball. It's probably in the DNA with little kids. She said she dreamed of putting that jersey on, and I think if a school wants to win at a sport, they need to find someone that wants to win with people, and they can change.
And that, you know, that's the key. Like within our Class B, you know, with our program and Class A now with Coach Schwartz at Minot, I know him well, and he had some young talent playing for him, which now you're seeing a little more in the Class A. But in Grafton, we've moved personnel up, but it's been to balance numbers to keep the program healthy. I'm a PE teacher, so I like short lines, right? I don't want 20 girls on one seventh grade team.
Yeah.
So if you sell that, you know, we've sold that to families. They've been supportive. We try to balance the numbers. Walker, yep. It's a situation where we moved Walker up because her skill level needed to be where we could utilize it at a varsity level. And it would be a spot where it would challenge her as well. So, you know, we're a program that doesn't move personnel up because of numbers, you know, because we need that number to have a varsity or a JV. You know, we move personnel around so that we can keep a program healthy, but that's taken time and that takes work. And I'm a big believer, you got to find places for kids to find success, and they can't find success if you can't find a place for them to see value.
Walker, tell us this. As you get prepared for USD, what has the coach told you about, do they want you to play 1,000,000 games between now and arrival? Or do they want you to stay healthy? Is it more working with your personal strength coach and just working on your straight fundamentals? What was the instruction given to you by your coach?
So I don't know if you know this, but we coaches have switched. So the coach that originally had recruited me moved to West Virginia. So we're kind of in the process of, you know, having this new coach, and we don't have an assistant or anything right now, but
crazy.
Yeah. So it's been a tough time the past 2 weeks or whatever, but my past coach didn't necessarily give me any of those increasing in strength or anything, because I feel like I am where she wants me to be until I get there, until I can further my skill with the coach that's coaching me. Because I feel like I've done everything in the weight room and skill-wise on my own and with the coaches around me to be ready until I get there. So I've been keeping up with lifting and skills, but nothing like that until I get there this June or whatever. Are you going to
any big tournaments around the country, or are you just going to stay more local and just prepare?
Do they have their schedule? Like for the summer?
Yeah.
For USD?
No, for you.
So
are you doing any, like, yeah, because now that you've already committed, I guess there's no, I mean, a lot of kids are playing like AAU and all those type of things, but is that just completely shut down now, or do you still play some club games or anything like that?
Yeah. So when you're technically a senior, you can't go to any AAU or anything like that.
Okay.
Because like technically your junior year is your last year.
Okay.
But I feel it. So for USD, they had mentioned going to Greece or something this summer, but I don't know with COVID if that's affected or with the coaching change or whatever. But I know that that's a possibility for when I get down there this summer.
So you get one of those every 4 years. So hopefully you're high enough on the depth chart that you get to play a lot in your one swing of the bat of that the international tour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, man, it was awesome having you guys on. I love talking North Dakota sports. I really love talking North Dakota community pride. I think you guys brought that. You really painted that picture pretty well. Coach, 23 years. I think North Dakota wants to give you a thank you for that, because I think that's pretty awesome. And Walker, good luck with the Coyotes. You guys call it the Yotes, is there something? Is that right? Is that what you guys say it?
Yotes, yeah.
Yeah. So I watched them play in the NCAA tournament. I usually do the women's bracket too. I think it's kind of fun.
Absolutely.
So, we try to be even on here. I don't do anything on those TikTok interviews for the girls' games that I don't do for the guys, or vice versa. We try to make it all dead even. So, but good luck, and thanks for coming on. That was awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Nice meeting you both.
Yeah.
You bet.
Hey, we're here with Sebastian Gutierrez, Minot State tackle, wide receiver turned tackle. That's kind of a crazy transformation. We'll ask him about that. He's getting ready for the NFL draft. That's pretty cool. Sebastian, how's it going?
Going great. How you guys doing?
We're doing good, man. We're doing good. You're from Pasco, Washington. You were basketball and a football player in high school. Any other sports?
Yeah, I actually played a little bit of golf, and then did some track as well.
Wow. Were you a thrower or a runner?
I was actually a runner because I was 185 pounds in high school.
Nice.
Oh, that's crazy.
185 pounds in high school. What do you weigh now?
A little over 310.
Holy smokes.
Goodness. That's absolutely crazy. Wow. So tell us a little bit about that transformation. I mean, you came to Minot State as a wide receiver, and like you said, 180 pounds soaking wet to 310. Now, we were both coaches. I mean, and we know how athletes work. I mean, you work out to your strength. Were you just like lifting weights and all of a sudden you're just gaining all this weight at the same time? Or how did that transition from where you were? Your body just hit that next level growth spurt and it just formed to become a big, powerful offensive lineman?
It was tough. It was not easy. I mean, it definitely took all 6 years I was there to become what I am now. I came in 2016. They told me to start eating because I was going to play tight end. I redshirted my first year. I played about 240-ish my redshirt freshman year. Then they told me to just keep getting bigger, keep going. And eventually I was about 260 that next season. And they in the spring, they asked me to change over to offensive line. And I was a little hesitant at first because I had never played anything like it. I never saw myself playing O-line, but, I came around to the idea and, the rest is history. I mean, it turned out to be pretty good at it, and having these opportunities now kind of proves it.
So let me ask you, play tackle. I got to ask a question. I've always wanted to ask this question from a pro prospect tackle. Terrence Steele plays for the Dallas Cowboys, and
here comes the Cowboys thing. Okay,
phenomenal right tackle. And then when he fills in it for Tyron Smith at left tackle, he just can't play at all. And I know that the right edge rusher's better or whatever, but I've seen left tackles that can't play right tackle. And Terrence talks about the first step, and it's way different. Explain to everyone out there the difference between the footwork left tackle and right tackle, and how hard is it to switch back and forth?
Of course. So I played both. So I played 2 years at right tackle. My last year I played left tackle. Traditionally, like you kind of said, you're going to put your best edge rusher on the right side of the line, the defensive facing way, so you can get the blind side of the quarterback. I will say it's a little bit of a tougher job because you have to be the best pass blocker on the defense to or the offense to do that. I never really noticed too much of a difference. Obviously played D2 and everything, but the difference between right tackle and left tackle isn't too much different. It's just you have more responsibility at left tackle.
Now, Sebastian, tell us a little bit about this, this last senior season. Obviously social media makes things a lot easier for people to get a better sense of what's going on. But, when did you start to get a sense that, there might be something bigger than Minot State, that there might be an opportunity to potentially play at the next level? Was it something that happened your junior year? Was there a couple scouts that watched a couple of your games? To walk us through that process to where you were just a great Minot State player that wanted to play your best to now all of a sudden there's people on draft boards that have you picked, and all of a sudden you're going all these hoopla, all these different, pro day workouts and stuff. But explain to us where that aha moment, was it just a great junior year that led to this, or where did it go?
Yeah, so I had a pretty decent junior year. I made second team conference. Obviously not super great, but it is an accomplishment. And then during the COVID years when things actually really took off, so teams had a little bit extra time to scout and everything. The Vikings ended up sending down one of their area scouts to come look at me, and he did a little workout for. I did a little workout for him. He made me run a 40 and do a couple of other things, and I ended up running a 4.89, which is pretty fast for an NFL or for an offensive lineman. And that kind of put me on the radar after that. So once I ran that 40, he pretty much told me, a bunch of teams are going to be looking at you because this number is pretty dang good. And after that is when I had almost every team come in the fall of my senior season. I had a lot of attention coming my way.
So
and
stop for 1 sec. I gotta ask you a question, and I think that a lot of people would want to hear the answer to this. So, the Viking scout went to a small, maybe obscure college, and finds a gold nugget, right? A diamond in the rough, right? And clocks you, right? Mm-hmm. Why would anyone else find that information? Does he upload that onto something? And why would an NFL team do that? Explain to the. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to get that point out, and then you can finish.
Of course. So from what I understood, there was a company that kind of a bunch of the teams kind of umbrella under, and they are owed that information as well, just because he's coming down to do like the diligence of like an area scout, it's not necessarily just for the Vikings, but it's kind of just for the good of every other team within that agency or company or whatever they are. So that goes out to all the teams underneath that, and it goes on a website where anybody can look at it, any of those teams. So that's kind of how they shared the information. So, but if it was just for the Vikings, I think they would want to keep it to themselves, obviously, because they would, obviously want to know or not have every other team know about it, or myself.
No, that's perfect. Go ahead and continue. Sorry, I just that caught me. The NFL's so competitive. I would be like,
I would be high secret. I'm like, holy crap! I clocked this guy going 4.8. I'm like, no one's gonna hear about this. Change those numbers around, right?
So, tell us about your best pancake.
Best pancake. So, oh man, I had a few of them, but I think I liked the one this year. It was versus Duluth. So we had a little bit of a reverse play. Peyton Lamore came back on the reverse, and my job was to come down onto the linebacker, fake like I was blocking him, and then wheel out, check to see if the corner was blocked. If the corner was blocked by the tight end, I would move to the next level. So I ended up moving to the next level and looping right up. Peyton Lamore is coming right behind me. I grab the corner, I'm blocking him, and I just throw him right to the ground. And that was Peyton Lamore was sprung for a touchdown. So that was probably one of my favorite ones.
Absolutely. Now that the season's over, obviously a lot of the hype and a lot of discussions. Walk us through what it's been like since your season has been over. You've had, been to pro day stuff. You've been to some stuff. I think you alluded to the Ndsu, and then of course it's pretty daunting being a young guy that's still in university, and now you've got an agent to help you guide you through this stuff. So explain to me, us, our viewers and everybody, what it's been like since school has been over, because now it's like a whole new ball game.
Of course, yeah. So after season ended, I took a little bit of time to go see my family back in Pasco, spent Christmas with them, and then the first week of January, I was up in Minneapolis. I was training at a place called Training House, with a trainer, Bill Welly, and that was pretty much strictly combine training. So, it's 40-yard dash, 5-10-5 shuttle, 3-cone drill, vertical, broad jump, all that kind of stuff. So we were training for that for about 10 weeks. And then and that's like 10 weeks of intense training. Like, you're building your body to succeed in those specific drills. And then I go to my pro day at Ndsu. I'm obviously expecting to do pretty well. I mean, I've always had like an athletic build and been able to test well. And I did well. I mean, I didn't run the 40 as fast as I should have. You know, granted, I gained 15 pounds since the last time I ran it, but I ran a 5.1 there. And, you know, it's not horrible. Anything under a 5.3 for an offensive lineman is pretty good, you know, and everything else I did well and excelled in. And then after that, I came back here to Minot, and I've been training and working on building my body up and maintaining my weight, making sure my condition's right. So once I get to camp, wherever I end up, I'm ready to go.
So what teams have given you the most interest, I should say? I don't know how that works, and you know, do they come to Minot to watch you work out, or is it just the pro day, or you know,
talking to your agent, or what? Yeah,
how's it work, and who might be your best chance to get your name called for?
Well, I was invited to the Vikings 30-man visit, which is they bring their top 30 prospects on their draft board in for a visit. So I did that a couple of weeks ago, and that went really well. I was able to talk to the general manager, offensive line coach, head coach, offensive coordinator, you know, everybody I'll be working day to day with in there. I was able to see the facility. You know, they treated me right. They had a lot of cool people, and it was really awesome to see, you know, that whole system and how they work things over there. So I would say the Vikings definitely interested, definitely, you know, a good chance that they might pick me up. You know, nothing's ever set in stone, but, you know, I'd say they're a good guess. And other than that, I've had a lot of teams reach out in the last couple of weeks, you know, whether it's a phone call from a scout or talking to an offensive line coach. I talked to the Detroit Lions offensive line coach the other day. You know, just most recently, the Las Vegas Raiders have reached out as of today. You know, San Francisco 49ers, Chicago. There's a lot of teams. And, you know, I'd say I have maybe 12 to 15 teams have reached out since after the pro day.
Absolutely. And I'm assuming, too, you know, everybody wants to get drafted, but there's a whole plethora of players that sign contracts as soon as that draft's over with to try to fill some spots. So has there been any indication, maybe just that if we don't get a chance to pick you or somehow you fall, that they, you know, that continue, that you'll still have another chance to do something? Is that something that is a possibility too?
That's definitely a possibility. I've had a lot of teams say, hey, you know, if we don't get you in the draft, please consider us in free agency. We're definitely going to be coming for you. All these teams have been very, very straightforward. They've told me exactly what they want and what they're going to do. And, you know, I'd like to get drafted, but if not, I'd know I'd be a pretty safe bet. I'd go somewhere,
right on,
get picked up.
Let me ask you this. So would you prefer to be drafted in the 7th round or go undrafted?
And pick your own place.
Yeah.
You know, that's a tough one.
From what 6th round's a little higher, 5th round, you know, you're going to take that, but 7th round, you might get drafted to a team that's super deep in tackles, and undrafted, you could go to a team that's, you know, that has like only 3 on the roster or something currently, or whatever. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I've definitely thought about it, and my agent, he's told me that there's really nothing I can do if someone drafts me and I'm put in that situation. But you know, it's really, there's pros and cons to it. From what I understand, you get a little more money if you're drafted. Obviously, you get a little more security, job security, because I believe you negotiate a contract almost immediately. However, I mean, you know, you might, like you said, you might end up in a situation where there's a lot of O-line on the roster and you might not succeed, and that's okay too. You might get released, and then the other teams will have a chance to pick you up. Not saying I'm going to get released, but that's definitely the reality of the situation. And then free agency, you know, that's what me and my agent would have to talk about on draft day. If I would have to go somewhere, take a little bit less money to go to a place where I'd more likely succeed and make it through camp and sign a contract, that would probably be the right way to go.
Absolutely.
So give us a 30-second little blurb of, we know the NFL's faster, you know, give us 30 seconds of why, if you arrive at rookie mini camp and then, you know, mini camp and then training camp, right? Is that the 3 levels of it, right? Why you're going to stick and why you'll succeed.
because I've never given up on anything in my life. I mean, I've always been a competitor, and, you know, ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be in this situation. And, you know, I'd feel like I'd be doing a disservice to my little self if I squandered this opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, good. Well, we got one more. Oh,
two.
Boy, here it comes.
Two. Number one, did playing basketball and baseball and track and being a 3-sport athlete versus a 1-sport athlete, you know, do you think it helped you, hurt you, hindered you?
4-sport.
You know what I mean?
100% it helped me. Yeah, 100%. You know, I grew up playing. Actually, I did play soccer for 8 years growing up too. So
Spain's excited about that.
I have a little bit of background there. I mean, I played from when I was very young to just before like high school, I would say. It was a great experience. I think, you know, that kind of developed my muscles the right way just to play soccer. And then basketball, obviously, it's a lot of agility and jumping and all that kind of stuff. So I think that definitely helped me with my feet and footwork. Track, of course, is speed, you know, everything that entails. And then I think playing golf actually helped me with a little bit of the mental aspect of football. Because, I mean, you're competing in a golf tournament, you got to have a pretty strong mental capacity if you're going to make a mistake and then come back from that and do better. So definitely helps to be a multi-sport athlete.
Last one, I'll let you, you know, throw a bone to, you know, I know Shane Ledehi, was he the one that recruited you? And then I know you said Nick Nissen was your positional coach. Mike Aldrich was your head coach the whole time, right?
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about your coaching staff, preparing you mentally, and how they've helped you to get to this point, or not, I guess, you know. Tell us that experience at Minot State.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just from when I first got to Minot State, you know, I didn't have the best experience, you know, my first year, I guess, because I was still very raw and I was very new, and, you know, I was very under recruited. So I was like at the bottom of the barrel type recruit. And, you know, then going up through the ranks and working through the system, you know, I found that my coaches appreciated me. And, you know, I as long as I kept my nose down and worked hard, you know, there wasn't going to be much I couldn't accomplish. And then getting to the start of the process where I started getting looks from the NFL, I mean, my coaches have helped so much. They always kept my confidence high, but they also kept me like in reality. Like they didn't want me my head to get too big, or they didn't want me to, you know, underappreciate myself. So I definitely give a lot of credit to them and helping me to be more of a professional, you know, and grow into the role that I'm going into.
Absolutely.
Man, this was awesome. I really appreciate you coming on, and I think it was really informative, especially for we have a big high school sports following, and I think it'd be good for those kids to, you know, to hear, you know, the benefits of 3 sports, the process you went through,
Yep.
how far you came just on the Minot State roster. You know,
dedication to the gym and all that stuff.
I think it's nice that Minot State didn't just portal you either. You know, they developed you the whole time you were there, it sounds like. This was awesome interview. I'd hope that if you get selected, that maybe we could call you or something on Saturday or whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we would love, if you get to camp, for you to give us 5 minutes of what that's like.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'll
be wild.
So, but I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Well, you know, last part of our episode, it's an exciting time, and reason is because we got the upcoming draft, and what makes it even sweeter here is Spainer, the diehard Cowboys fan, is going to be wearing a big star, and he's going to be at the draft. And I'm a huge draft fan for a long time. I know you are too. That's going to be pretty exciting. And not only that, not only going to be there, tell us the journey of how that happened, because this isn't just you last week looking online and looking for tickets. Like, this has been a couple years in the making, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy. So I was just researching, and I went to the draft in Dallas. And it was like the best sporting event I've ever been at. And I'll tell you guys, I'll tell people, if the draft's in your team city, like if you're a Chiefs fan and you want to go next year, I mean, there's almost nothing even close. It's just, it's an unbelievable experience. But so I was looking, and I was trying to figure out where it's going to be, and I know that Jerry Jones was going to try to keep the draft in Dallas, so I was kind of looking to see if that was going to be the case. And I read a rumor that the draft would be in Las Vegas. And I said, whoa, that would be kind of cool. So then I started thinking about it, and so I called my wife. I said, Las Vegas, we should go to this NFL draft. And I said, it's going to be at the MGM, or it's going to be at Caesars or whatnot. And, my wife works for Delta Vacations, so we fly free. I told her, I said, there'll probably be no chance for non-revving or any of that stuff at the, so let's try and let's buy a package, So she started doing some research, and this is before it really hit, And we bought this package, and we guessed where the draft was going to be, and we bought this package way in advance before it got out. And then when it got out, obviously the prices went boom, and we had it for really, really cheap.
Yeah. So have they been able to push it? Like, I mean, how does that work? They move when the draft was coming back?
Yeah, so we were supposed to go, and then so we rolled everything over when the NFL announced it was going to be back in Las Vegas again. That's cool. But the prices have never gone back down. So we've held on and held on and held on.
Yeah.
So it's sort of cool. But so anyway, the NFL draft is a really neat experience. We went, when it was in Dallas a few years ago, and I'll just tell you, there was some cool stuff. My kids did the hot sauce dance with Cole Beasley.
Oh, geez.
There was I have a Danny White jersey.
Oh boy.
Danny White, he was my hero growing up. Danny White, love Danny White.
Can't make the draft all about the Cowboys.
My son's got an '88 jersey, and I got a Danny White jersey, and we run into Drew Pearson.
Oh boy.
Walking out of a restaurant, and there's just tons of people running up, and he's in a hurry. He's got a business meeting or whatever, and he's like, no autographs, no autographs, no autographs, no interviews, no autographs. And he's doing this, and then he sees me and my son with the 11 and the 88, and I must have turned, because he's like, my quarterback. And he brings us over there, and we had this black marker, right? And we had a football, and we got Charles Haley and Rayfield White, and we got all these different Cowboys at the draft, right? They're all lined up, all these different places. So anyway, my kids are all excited about this, but all my boys are there, but the one with the '88 jersey, he's like, I'm the original '88. So we hand him the ball and the pen, and he goes, no, this is how it's really done. And he pulls out a royal blue pen, and he signs on there, and Hall of Fame and original '88. Well, it was pretty cool.
That's
so
cool.
Anyway, that was cool, and then we got in line for Switzer,
Barry Switzer?
Ryan Switzer, like a 5th round pick out of North Carolina.
Okay, yep.
And he was like a Cole Beasley repeat, So we get in line for this guy, and they trade him while we were in line.
No way.
That was kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
And we had football cards for him and stuff. He signed him anyway, but that was sort of interesting.
Crazy.
But the draft was a cool experience.
What are you looking forward to this one? Like, I mean, it's kind of in Vegas. I mean, I've of course only watched on TV, and it's fascinating. I mean, but it is you're excited. You're worried about the time clock and stuff. Is it feel like a pressure cooker when you're in there, because you get fans cheering, and then you hear them when they're booing if they get the wrong bad pick? But what's the atmosphere like when you're actually right there?
Yeah, I was in Dallas because I'd won the tickets. Is why we went. So that was cool, and there's a crazy story behind that too. But
maybe save it for another time.
No, actually, the draft was in Dallas,
and
it was like this Oinko's yogurt competition or what, I don't remember. So I was about to put in, and it's like, what's your favorite team? The whole deal, right? And I was like, wait a minute. Everyone that's a Cowboys fan is going to put in for this, right? Because it's in Dallas.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, that's not going to work. So, and I thought about it. Okay, which team here? And then it hit me. Remember, the Bills traded away their whole team that year. And they made the playoffs anyway. So they tried to lose. They were like trying to get the tanking deal, and then their coaches them to the playoffs. And so I'm like, they've got to have the least amount of people putting in for this thing. So I put in for the
Bills.
The Bills and
geez.
win. And then we arrive in cowboy jerseys, and they made us move up to the upper deck.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
But yeah, it was fun. Anyway. But anyway, because there was no seats in the Cowboys. They have sections, whatever. But the draft, I've loved it. And it's like every team's got this infinite possibilities. Before the draft, and I've just followed it every year. I mean, I was crushed as a child when it went from 12 rounds to 7 rounds. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And I'm one of the guys that I know all the guys that like, oh my gosh, who's getting I did a story. I wanted Romo before Dallas signed him.
Really?
Oh yeah, I wanted Ryan. A list of all these guys that and when I was younger, I used to take all the like the 7 or 8, like the CBS Sports Line, the Mel Kiper, Walter Football, all these different mock drafts, and then I would meld them into a one mock draft, and then I would write a line, like a marker line every 32 people, so then you could start seeing whether your team was reaching or not reaching, and if they had a good draft, if they had a lot of marks in the higher part of it versus the lower part of it. And it was just me it was a hobby, right? So Romo, I thought should have been drafted, and he wasn't there. And if you remember, Dallas was going like 5-11, and they had like Ryan Leaf and Quincy Carter and all these guys. So I was really hoping for Romo, but I usually have 7 or 8 names I really want, going into that undrafted free agency, based on who's not on the board. Now I'm a little lazier. I got more responsibility, so I print out the ESPN Scouts Inc. link. I just go with that.
Yeah, well, good.
A little bit easier than when I was in my 20s, and just a complete super draft nerd that was putting too much effort into it. But I'm excited. I'll tell you this. Watch for me on TikTok. The NFL draft experience is awesome. You can run the 40, you can kick the field goal, you can run the shuttle, and you can do all the stuff they do in the combine.
And then on top of it, you got a little contest going on TikTok too, right?
I do, yeah.
Explain that a little bit.
Should I tell you my 40 experience?
Oh, boy.
We're at the NFL draft in Dallas, and, I'm a soccer guy, and I'm looking forward to this field goal competition. I'm like, I'm going to get out there, and I'm going to blast. I might miss left and right, but I'm going to blast some 50-yard field goals.
What, are you taking runoffs for kickoffs, or are you taking the only 2 steps, one over?
No, I'm doing a normal field goal, and I was just gonna crush some kicks, right? So we get over there, and we're going through all the stuff, and my kids want to do this 40. The 40's awesome. I mean, they've got the AccuTrack. You run through it, your clock stops. There's a hologram of Kareem Hunt running. You run against him.
Really?
I mean, it's all. So like, there's 6 lanes, and when you cross the line, your clock hits up top, right?
Wow.
So I actually have video on my phone of this. So I'm in line, and I'm going to film my kids. So I'm behind them, and I'm going to film them. And there's this guy behind me, maybe 20 years old, right? And and I'm in my 40s, right?
Yeah.
So and behind him are 4 really good athletes.
Okay.
I can just tell you that. So he's by himself, right? And he's looking around, and I have all my kids, and I got a lot of kids, so they're lined up. And he's not going to fit in that group, and he doesn't want to run against these guys, even though he's got one of the open lanes. And he's like, dude, are you running? I'm like, no, I'm not running. He's like, come on, man, are you running? I'm like, no, I'm just filming my kids, And he goes, come on, man, I want to run. I'll run against you. And so as we get closer, he's like, man, what are you, chicken? And I'm like, all right, dude.
Oh, boy.
I take it. I get up there, and they go, doo, doo. Guy jumps early. So annoying. But I run him. I beat him.
Oh,
but
geez.
I'm hauling as fast as I can, and we're going. I pass him, and I get 2 steps from the line, and pow, my hamstring.
No. Oh, my God.
It was horrible. I pop my hamstring and I fall over the line.
Did you
and
still
I'm
beat
laying
him?
on the ground.
Did
I
you
beat
still
him. I
beat
beat him.
him?
I beat him.
Oh.
And this is the funniest part. I don't know if this is a compliment. I'll leave it to you. His buddy films this thing, right? And he runs over. He goes over the barrier because there's a whole bunch of people watching. And there's like, you know, the barrier where all the lines are and whatever. But he runs over the barrier and he gets in his face and goes, "That fat old bald guy beat you."
Jeez. Oh, man.
But so then I didn't get the kick.
Oh.
And then I broke my foot the other day. I'm on one leg now, and I don't get the kick this year either. So I'm super annoyed about that. But I do have a TikTok challenge, the NFL Draft Challenge. So you should put that up there because that is a hoodie for the winner.
Another great episode here on the Spainer and Riggs podcast. You know, it's going to be exciting for next week as well because we got Spainer checking out the NFL draft. I'm sure you're going to see some cool videos on TikTok. We've also got a great interview with Peyton Barch, big-time swimmer. We're excited to see him and talk to him, and you're going to want to see that episode. And, of course, at the draft, we're going to follow on with Gutierrez to see how it goes and hopefully gets drafted. I think probably the first ever Minot State football player drafted to the NFL, actually, I think might be true. So, great episode. See you next time.